up, YouTube? My name is Carly Fries, and I am back with a book video, which I haven't done in a long time because I actually haven't read that many books because I haven't had the time. The amount of books that I've read this spring is pretty much how much I usually read in a month. So a little disappointed with myself so far, but I'm trying to get back on track as soon as I can. This video is just going to be a one video talking about all the books that I've read since the beginning of January. Actually, part of January I was rereading some old books, so that's why I'm not going to talk about those today, but I will start with the first new book that was the first time that I was reading it. So yeah, let's just get into it. The first new book that I read in 2018 was Monster by Michael Grant, and this is a very underrated book series that this belongs to. I actually talked about it briefly in my TBR books of 2018 because it had come out 2017? 2016? It's been a while that it was out, but I wanted to reread the series. Those are the books that I was reading at the beginning of January actually were the 6 books in the original series. So this is the first book in a spin-off series set 4 years after the original books. So the series itself is called Gone, and it's a great, it's one of my favorite YA series of all time, and no one ever talks about it. So there's a bunch of kids living in this little town, and everyone above the age of 15 just disappears one day, and there's like a dome around their town. So it's basically like Lord of the Flies, like kids trying to survive with like hunger and like disease and like infighting, and then people start developing superpowers. So that makes it so much harder. And this book is set 4 years later after the events of the final book in the original series. I don't want to spoil like Gone for you guys, but basically shit's still going down 4 years later after they kind of thought that they had fixed everything. So yeah, there's a couple of characters that do return from the original series, but mostly it is a new cast of characters. Like, it's so nice that like after so long he returns to this series after, like, of course everyone thought it was done. Everyone's been wanting a TV show and a movie based on it, and that's never happened. So just getting like a continuation of the story is like satisfactory for now. And yeah, I gave this one 5 stars just because of strictly, well, not strictly, but primarily for nostalgic reasons. The next book that I read was the first book in the Snow Like Ashes trilogy, I want to say, and that's by Sarah Rosh. This book was gifted to me at Christmas by my brother and sister-in-law, as well as another book that I read this month. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's been a few months since I've read it, but I'm actually reading the second book right now. I'm only a couple chapters in, but I'm really enjoying it. So essentially there is this girl, she's part of this small group of people who are survivors of basically the massacre of their kingdom and the oppression of their kingdom. Years and years ago, their kingdom was defeated by the other kingdoms. Basically everyone was put into slavery or killed, except for this tiny group of people who since then have been searching for a way to defeat the other kingdoms and like get their kingdom back. There's a girl, and basically she thinks she knows who she is, but it turns out she doesn't really. Literally every YA book ever, you're more special than you think you are, but in this book it does work. And the other book that I got for Christmas this year was The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I've never read anything from her before, and I only vaguely knew what this book was about. I'd seen it at Chapters a million times, and then finally we got it for Christmas, and it's so good. It's like really, really good. I think I gave it 4 stars, 5 stars on Goodreads. I don't remember, but it definitely is one of the better books in like the time travel genre. I mean, it doesn't focus on time travel as much as other books, but the book is set in the past. She's sent back into the past on a mission, and she meets this cast of characters, and there are so many plot twists to this book, and that's what makes it so great. Well, the writing is really good, the characters are really good, but it's the plot twists. Like, there's like 2 plot twists towards the end of the book that completely not completely took me by surprise. There was one of them that I did see coming, but one of them I did not. Either way, just the plot twists make the book, you know, just put it over the edge for how good it was. And there's another book coming out, and I can't wait, and you guys should definitely pick this up. Then I read these 3 books. But the thing is, I read Gemina before I read Illuminae. But it's the opposite. You know, for a while I thought to myself, what the fuck is going on? This book is so confusing, ew. But it was just because I'm an idiot. For some reason, I had always had it in my head that Gemina was the first book, and it was like the Gemina series, but it's really the Illuminae Files is the name of the series. And I don't know why I didn't fact check that before starting the series. I was so excited, I was like, yay, Gemina! And then I ended up reading the second book before the first. Then I read the second book, and then I went back and read the first book, and then as soon as I finished the first book, the third book had literally just come out not too long around that time. So then I read Obsidio, and I think the series is done. Like, it wraps it up very well, but I wish it wasn't because I thoroughly enjoyed this series. I didn't think I would at first because it's just, okay, if any of you have not read these books, just by looking at like the cover and everything, you can tell it's a little different. And then you open it up and like this is what the pages look like. So there's a mixture of actual writing and chats and like documents and comics and pictures and just a bunch of stuff, because essentially how the story is told is through these files, the Illuminae files. So the story of this war and this you know, the illegal doings of this company. The story is told through the experiences of you know, a few characters per book, and then the Illuminae files are compiled by this group called the Illuminae group. Put together all these video footage and diaries and documents and emails and group chats to like tell the story of what happened. To this trial that is kind of ongoing at the beginning and end of each of the books. Like all the evidence that has been compiled against this group of bad people. I know that's like really vague, but basically it's like a space book. So there's people who are living in colonies on these planets as well as on these ships. In each book there's like drama happening in 3 different areas, and they're actually all happening at the same time. There's some overlap between the stories, which is really cool because you start off with one story and then you get, you know, at the end of that book you kind of get like, and then they end up at point here, and then they continue together, and then there's like this third story, and they like all end up together at the end. Like it all ties off with them like working together essentially to overthrow this company. It's very confusing, especially the way that it's told, but after the first like I'd say 100 pages or so, you're so into it. The style just grows on you and it's really easy to read. I really enjoyed these books, and I'm trying to convince Cameron to read them, but he's kind of seen the formatting of it and he's like, I'm like, no, like read them. And finally, the most recent book that I read in the spring, actually I finished reading it, what, yesterday? The day before yesterday? Is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. And I don't think I've ever read a superhero YA. Like I was saying, Gone has superpowers, but they're not like heroes. Like this is very much like DC Marvel in like teenage YA setting, which I have never seen before. It's so unique, but I mean, of course it's unique coming from Marissa Meyer, who literally makes a living off of, you know, retelling of fairy tales in like a modern setting. So the fact that she went on to superheroes for this book is so interesting to me, that she like diverted away from the fairy tales and like the princesses and everything and like went on to this, and she did such a good job. The thing is, Marissa Meyer really conflicts me. I'm not a big fan of her at all. I'm just gonna admit it. The Lunar Chronicles, like Cinder and everything, very well written, good story, likable characters, didn't love it. Heartless, fucking hated it. I hated Heartless so much, and you can come for me if you want. Like, come for me if you loved Heartless. Like, you're allowed to like it, but it was god awful. I hated the writing. I just don't like Alice in Wonderland as well. I didn't care for the characters at all. I was not invested. Who cares what happened? So like, that was my mindset in that book. Like, I just wanted it to be done. And I think I gave it like a 2 stars. Maybe, if that, I don't remember. Either way, going from that to this is just like mind-boggling to me, because I was, you know, I liked Lunar Chronicles, I hated Heartless, and now I am in love with this story. Absolutely in love. For a long time, there have always been people, prodigies, if you will, with powers. So, you know, obviously they ended up being split off in like villains and heroes, and the villains were defeated and they were kind of drove, you know, down into the sewers and like, you know, had to become part of society and stop doing what they were doing, except, you know, in, you know, secret. And the superheroes kind of ran the city. They were the government, they were the police force, they were the lawyers, they were everything, and they took care of all of the issues. And the people without powers just kind of lived in the city. So Nova, the main character, witnesses something horrific growing up, and it makes her, you know, detest the renegades, is what they're called, the superheroes, with a passion. So basically, she is kind of part of the villain crew when we first meet her, but they come up with the brilliant idea, because no one knows she exists, to have her pose as a renegade and join the crew and see what she can uncover to ultimately bring about their downfall. But of course, you know, this being a book with the story, you know, she realizes that maybe what she thought before wasn't 100% accurate, and, you know, she starts to doubt everything that she's always believed. And there are so many likable characters, both, you know, within the villains and the heroes, which I think is a perfect way to describe life. You know, there's not just good and bad, there's, you know, there's some bad with the good people and there's some good with the bad people, and like, you know, people are people. And I find that this book really does bring that idea home. And also, I just really like the 2 main characters, Nova and Adrian, especially just the powers and everything. Like, I am not the huge, like, I like Marvel, I'm not a huge fan of DC, but I like the superhero thing. And I've never read a book, a YA book about superheroes, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but it did. It worked. And if you have yet to read Renegades, then go pick it up, because you will not regret it, whether you've read a Marissa Meyer book in the past or not. Maybe, I don't know if it matters which book you start with, but this is definitely a must read. And yeah, the fuck do you think you're doing? I'm trying to film my outro. Yeah, those are all the books that I read this spring. Right now we are at the end of April. In 2 days, I am leaving for Europe for about 3 weeks. So when I come back, all you'll be seeing is Europe vlog after Europe vlog for a little bit, and then we will return to your regularly scheduled programming. I hope you guys have yourselves a good, you know, rest of spring. I won't be doing much reading in Europe, I can tell you that. I'm bringing like 1 book with me, but I just don't think partying and reading are gonna go together very well. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below what books you've read in the last few months that maybe you would recommend to me or to others who are reading the comments. And if you aren't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I love making these videos, so I hope you love watching them. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!